Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. Just when you thought Montanans were immune to a sales tax, the U.S. Supreme Court says not so fast.
If you shop online, listen up. The Supreme Court ruled today that states can now require online retailers to pay a sales tax.
That decision by the High Court sent share prices today for Amazon, Overstock, Wayfair, eBay, and Etsy tumbling.
Molengi is at the Supreme Court to explain the opinion and what it means for online shoppers.
The days of tax-free online shopping could soon be over. In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court ruled states can force online shoppers to pay sales tax.
A lot of uncertainty right now, both for consumers, businesses, and state tax authorities, because they have to figure out what exactly they're going to do, how to comply, who has to comply.
Before the explosion of internet shopping, the High Court ruled in 1992 an online retailer only had to collect sales tax if it had a physical presence in the state. But in 2016, South Dakota sued online retailers Wayfair and Overstock for the estimated $50 million a year the state said it was losing in sales tax revenue.
We don't know what exactly is going to happen. This was about South Dakota's laws. Other states might do it differently.
In the majority opinion, Justice Anthony Kennedy wrote, each year the physical presence rule becomes further removed from economic reality. In the dissenting opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts warned that collecting state sales taxes could harm a vibrant e-commerce marketplace and said it was a matter best left to Congress. Wayfair said it appreciated the clarity provided by the ruling. The online retailer added it already collects and remits sales tax on approximately 80% of our orders in the United States, and it does not expect today's decision to have any noticeable impact on our business. Molengi, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
Today's ruling also considered a win for large retailers with brick-and-mortar stores like Target and Walmart, which argued the physical presence rule put them at a perpetual disadvantage.
Both Montana senators taking issue with the Supreme Court's decision that will force Montana businesses to collect sales taxes on behalf of other states.
Senior Senator John Tester says, quote, Montanans don't pay sales taxes and we shouldn't be in the business of collecting sales taxes. He vows to pass a law to reverse what he calls this disastrous decision. And by the way, Tester opposed the nomination of Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. He turned out to have the deciding vote in today's 5-4 decision.
Montana Republican Senator Steve Daines also condemning the court's decision. Daines calls it overregulation, saying, quote, this decision means unnecessary and complex burdens on small businesses, as well as a tax increase on consumers across the country.
And by the way, Montana Attorney General Tim Fox was one of only 2 state attorneys general who wrote briefs arguing in opposition to the online tax.
U.S. Secretary of the Interior Ryan Zinke is headed to Billings next week to talk with local officials. The meeting on Wednesday, June 27th, will focus on the Payment in Lieu of Taxes program. The PILT program is federal payments to local governments that offset the potential to collect property taxes. It's an annual payment that local entities count on to meet budgets. Last year, the program was funded at more than $500 million nationwide. Now, Zinke also plans to address other issues under the Interior Department, like national park management.
Congress back at work today tackling immigration while the First Lady visited with children who arrived at the U.S. border illegally. Melania Trump touring a shelter in Texas today where some of the children who have been separated from their families are being held. A bill that would keep children with their parents while they're being processed was supposed to be voted on today in Washington, but the vote was pushed back to tomorrow. The First Lady also coming under some criticism today for wearing a jacket with the words, "I really don't care, do you?" on its backside. First Lady's press office said there was no message behind the jacket, but President Trump responded saying the words on the jacket were directed to the mainstream media.
A pastor from Puerto Rico says it may take 10 to 15 more years to recover from Hurricane Maria, which struck last September.
That pastor spoke at a Billings church today to discuss how people here can help out. Q2's David Jay joins us now with more. David.
Well, Jay, Jeanelle, Pastor David Guadalupe is the CEO and Executive Director of Lutheran Social Services of Puerto Rico. He says about 90% of Puerto Rico has electricity, which means about 100,000 still do not have power. He spoke at King of Glory Lutheran Church this evening. Pastor Guadalupe is also part of the Caribbean Synod and is working with the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. One idea is to bring people from Puerto Rico to work in Billings while their homes are being repaired. He's also been working with St. John's Lutheran Ministries as well as other churches in Billings. He says the church is a place people in Puerto Rico know they can go for help.
It's very important because this is our work. We're supposed to walk with the people, and we need to walk with the people every single day, no matter what. No matter it's a disaster, a political issue, human rights issue, no matter what, we need to walk with the people. And this is very important for us as pastors, lays, and all the personnel of the church. We need to walk with them.
Pastor Guadalupe says that many Puerto Rican residents also suffer from mental health issues due to the devastation. He says in addition to supplies, equipment, and rebuilding, the Lutheran disaster response also includes counseling and training for pastors. Jay, Jeanelle?
All right, thanks, David.
Billings police officers today found justified in the fatal shooting of a suspect last November at the Big Bear Sports Center.
Frank Haft Jr. was shot and killed after nearly 10 hours in a standoff at the sporting goods store. Q2's Samantha Harrelson has followed this story for us and has more on the jury's decision.
Jay and Jeanelle, after 3 days of testimony, the jury found all of the officers justified in their use of lethal force. Jurors heard from the officers involved and forensic experts about the fatal standoff on November 4th. On Thursday, jurors heard that Haft was shot a total of 7 times. 5 bullets were found inside his body. Officers testified Haft was non-compliant and acted erratically throughout the standoff, even firing a weapon at officers. Haft did have meth in his system at the time. Each officer said they believed Haft had every chance to comply, but his actions gave them no other choice but to shoot.
This was a difficult and tragic situation. Again, I'm frustrated because methamphetamine played a role. It seems to play a role in the majority of these officer-involved shootings. My heart goes out to the officers that have to make these decisions. And also I'm cognizant of family members that lose loved ones because of this.
Coroner's inquests are required in Montana in any case where law enforcement is involved in a fatal shooting. Jay and Jeanelle?
All right, thanks, Sammy.
Search and rescue crews resumed their search today for a Columbus man who disappeared in the Yellowstone River last Saturday.
20-year-old Brandon Fitch has been missing since last Saturday morning when witnesses say he fell into the river off the Reed Point Bridge. Well, today the Stillwater County Sheriff's Office, with help from Stillwater County Search and Rescue, Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, and 2 canine teams resumed that search. They worked from the shore and from boats to narrow down the area where Fitch may be located.
Sergeant Randy Smith tells us the river conditions are still very hazardous and the safety for all of those involved remains a top concern.
Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us now with details on that big storm that swept through Billings earlier tonight, Bob.
And strangely enough, we did not get a great deal of rain here in Billings. It's to the north and to the south of us again. But let me show you what's coming our way next. This is our current Doppler radar. And as you'll see up there by Kalispell, that's a new batch of rain. That one up there is expected to make its way into south central Montana by tomorrow morning. Now, you can see the one that just blew through there from Broadus to Miles City. That is the one that got us earlier today. That produced a great deal of rain across the region. Places like Roundup wound up with well over an inch of rain, in some cases 1.80 inches of rain there. And we still had a lot of thunderstorms over there by Aberdeen. In that area there in Bighorn County, we had 2.5 inches of rain in that area, according to the Doppler radar. Now, we still have some problems also on the Musselshell River. That's got new numbers for it tonight. That's right at flood stage, expected to go above flood stage tomorrow. And the Yellowstone River, Miles City, that's expected to stay right around flood stage. We'll have the rest of your forecast and what can we expect for the weekend in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob.
The Montana Army National Guard flew in to rescue nearly 140 students and adults from a remote Montana Bible camp this morning.
That camp is located along the Dearborn River, one of the hardest hit waterways in central Montana. Tonight, MTN's Jonathan Amberian brings us a closer look at the rescue.
Families gathered in Great Falls Thursday to await National Guard helicopters. They carried 100 junior high students and 37 staff members out of the Montana Wilderness School of the Bible.
My first thought was, whoa, we're just a bunch of kids, and instead we get a helicopter ride. This doesn't happen to everyone every day.
The school, located on the Dearborn River southwest of Augusta, was hosting a summer Bible camp. Floodwaters washed out portions of Dearborn Canyon Road, stranding the students and staff.
There really wasn't any danger at the time, but just not knowing the unknown of when anybody could get in or out of there, I'm sure parents would have really wanted their kids to be out just to make sure everything was safe.
Governor Steve Bullock approved the use of 2 Chinook helicopters to bring everyone out. It made for a unique experience for the campers.
Really excited. I've never flown on a helicopter before.
Families thanked the authorities who made the airlift possible.
Who would think I'd have to drive 60 miles to come pick him up, but you know what? It was worth it. My daughter's very jealous because her brother got to have fun and she didn't.
It was really cool and once in a lifetime. I wish I could do it again, but that's probably not likely.
In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Thank you, Jonathan. Sounds like an awesome camp, huh?
Well, another major hit to the town of Augusta that filled with water this week. The Augusta Rodeo has been called off this weekend.
Still ahead on tonight's 10 o'clock news, a walk to raise awareness for cystic fibrosis happens this Saturday. Up next, we'll meet a young boy who's combating the disease.
And later in sports, Scott shows us how the Red Hot Billings Royals stack up with regional teams at this week's Big American Legion Tournament.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's